Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from Yahuwah the Father and Yahusha, our Mashiach, his voice. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah, our mighty one, is one Yahuwah. This is Brother David coming to you again to bring you the doctrines of demons and devils. This episode is about the abomination being set up. This is part 5. Do you know this image? This is the image of ZEUS, the European god. He is the head of all of the gods. He's the head of the pantheon. Did you know that the Greeks and the Romans were named after their gods? ZEUS. See the suffix US? Look, Julius Caesar, US at the end of his name. Herodias Antipas, that's Herod the Great, US after his name. Josephus, collaborator. Antiochus Epiphanes, an evil and wicked man beyond all imagination. But I like this one better than all the rest. Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, that's Pompey the Great. 3 names, all has the US at the end, the suffix. In comes Jesus. The Latin, the Roman Catholic Church still call him Jesus. Are you hearing me? The Spanish call him Jesus. Over time, it is morphed into something else. Jesus. Still have the suffix US at the end. They have replaced our Mashiach with the name of their God. Jesus has come in his father's name. His father's name is Zeus. Remember, the devil does exactly the things that the father does because he is an imitator. Listen to me. He imitates what the father does. So his Mashiach is named after him. Jesus, Jesus. The Israelites, we were named after our mighty one, Yah, or El for Eloah. The Babylonians and the Persians, they were named after their god, Baal, Baal. Whomever you served, you took on his name. Have we identified the demons and the devils that the Bible is talking about? We have 3 witnesses so far, don't we? Remember, we've been going through the series, The Doctrines of Demons and Devils. Shaul told you that they were going to put these doctrines of demons and devils in the book. So then we must look at who the demons and devils are. Who put the doctrines? Who changed the names? Who changed locations? Who changed everything in your book? Our Mashiach said, when you see this abomination that's going to bring desolation standing in the holy place, flee into the mountains, because great slaughter follows. Who was he talking about? Now we're in Daniel. Daniel says that the abomination that's going to bring desolation is going to be set up in the holy place. Who did that? Have we identified the demons and the devils that are in the Bible? Now remember, they show you movies. The Exorcist. When a person has a demon and the devil, his head is supposed to spin around. He's supposed to spit up green goo all over you. That's called sleight of hand. They have you looking someplace else. When in all reality, the trick is being played out right in front of you. Demons and devils are walking amongst you in flesh suits. And we didn't know. Because the New Testament has been cleansed. Did you know that? It doesn't speak anything wicked or evil about the Romans, does it? Think about it. I've been in that New Testament for years. Who gave you your New Testament? It comes from a Greek/Latin text. Where's the Hebrew text? They're trying to make it their own. The Israelites were Hebrew. They were Israelites, Yisraelites. It's a closed society. The people who came in and robbed and spoiled them have now taken the mantle and have become the people of the book? Let's begin. Daniel chapter 12, verse 1 to 2. Let's bring this thing home, brothers and sisters. You're going to learn something here. Just in verse 1 alone, this has too much information. I can just preach on this through the whole series. Verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. Who's Michael standing for? The Israelites, the Yisraelites. This book of Daniel tells you one thing. There's no one else that has these promises and covenants but the children of Israel. It has not been transferred to our enemies. It has not been transferred to any other group of people. They just told you that. They twisted everything. This book is only for a select group of people. Who is that? The children of Yasharal. Who is Daniel? He is one of the children of Yasharal. Daniel is in captivity right now in Medo-Persia. Who is Michael, the great prince, going to stand up for? Not for the world, only for the children of Yasharal. But it says something. And at that time, what time is he talking about? When you go back to chapter 11, you find out that the ships of Chittim have entered the coast of the promised land. Who are these people? The Greeks and the Romans. Look at what it's going to say next. Now you want to know who the demons, who the devils are, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. Egypt. They took us captive, treated us evil for maybe 70, 80, 140 years the most. Was that a time of trouble? Yeah, it was. Did Michael stand up? No, he did not. You never hear anything about Michael standing up until this happens. The Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Persians, the Medo-Persia, when they joined together. Daniel is in Medo-Persia right now in captivity. Michael did not stand up then. When did Michael stand up for the children of Israel? When those Europeans came in. There came a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. A wickedness, an evil, like never seen before. A people that were cruel, no compassion, a hard speech would come in to conquer and destroy. Hold it. What is the attributes of the devil? He comes to kill, steal, and destroy. I mean, all of the other nations did that also, didn't they? But Michael didn't stand up then. He stood up when these Europeans came to our coast, and at that time, thy people shall be delivered. The Mashiach would come. He would give himself for a ransom for many. The Mashiach says, when you see this abomination that brings desolation standing in the set-apart place, flee into the wilderness. That is how we were delivered. Everyone that shall be found written in the book, Yahuwah has chosen for himself 7,000 men that did not bow the knee to Baal. Verse 2. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame, and everlasting contempt. Now the prophecy shifts. It comes to the end times. It comes to this resurrection, this awakening, those who were dead but now are alive, not spiritually. We're talking about actual physical awakening from the dead. Verse 3. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament. And they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. Who are the wise ones? Those who are studying, those who are applying the laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments. Who else? Those who are teaching this righteousness. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 19, it states that those who keep and teaches others to keep these laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments will be great in the kingdom of heaven. But here it says They shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, as the stars forever and ever. Verse 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words. Shh. Keep it quiet. And seal the book. Indeed, for surety, to the time of the end. This is the end, brothers and sisters. This is why we're going through this. So you can see who your adversary is. Look what it's going to say next. Many shall run to and fro. Cars, trains, buses, airplanes, ships, and knowledge shall be greatly increased. Computers, internet. Within a couple of seconds, you can pull up any information you need. This prophecy is for us. Verse 5. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. Verse 6. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? Verse 7. And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, and times, and a half. That's the first part of the prophecy. He's speaking after the captivity of Babylon. This time, this times, and a half would come to pass. And when he shall have accomplished, listen to this, people, to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. It is finished. Have we been scattered around the world in ships? The transatlantic slave trade, something never recorded in history. Hold it 1 second. Who are the people responsible for taking us around the world in these ships? Are they the same people that Michael had to stand up when they came into the land? Yes, they are. The Roman Catholic Church gave permission. It was a free-for-all. You can go and get those people. Guess why he said that? Because they are cursed. Verse 8. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? Daniel couldn't understand what was happening. This was future. We're dealing with past. We have seen these things. At least some of us have seen them. Others have read and studied the history to find out these truths. This is all going to be found in history, brothers and sisters. Verse 9. And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed to the time of the end. Keep this thing quiet. Verse 10. many shall be purified. That's what we're going through today. The process of purification. And made white as snow. And tried and tested and proven. But the wicked shall do wickedly. Leave them alone. And none of the wicked shall understand. The ones who have come before us did not understand this prophetic word. Guess why? Because they have deleted us from the equation. But the wise shall understand. Remember who the wise are. Those who learn, keep, follow the law, statutes, judgments, and commandments, and teach others to do so. Verse 11. The prophecy is shifting again. He's coming to another time. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up. Look at this. People have boiled this over in their heads for many years. You cannot find out the answer to this unless you go through history. And you read that book of the Maccabees. It shows you who set up this abomination that makes desolate. Not standing, like the Mashiach said. He said it was set up. What was set up? An image of ZEUS. They said that it was in the likeness of Antiochus himself. What else did they do, Brother David? They also sacrificed a pig upon the altar. What kind of people are these? Look at the time. There shall be 1,290 days. That is approximately 3.5 years. Verse 12. Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. Add 45 more days to the 3.5 years. And when you come to this point, you are blessed. Why? Because the temple would be rededicated again. Is this past tense or future tense? It's past tense, brothers and sisters. The doctrines of demons and devils try to make you think this is future. This has already happened. Verse 13, but go thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest, and stand in thy lot at the end of days. You see that word lot? That's his land. When is it going to happen? In the end of the days. When the Bible speaks of the end of the days, it means the end of wickedness upon this earth. We shall reign with our Mashiach for 1,000 years. Then the Father is going to create a new heaven and a new earth. Now, let's look at these abominable people, the people of hatred and wickedness. We were just deceived for so many years. We were not paying attention. We thought we had it right. But we have been following the doctrines of demons and devils for 400 years. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41 to 45. Antiochus, look at the name. See the suffix? US, his god is Zeus. Now issued a decree that all nations in his empire should abandon their own customs and become one people. Antiochus the Great was from the Seleucid Empire. Alexander the Great came in and conquered and died. He split the world, the known world, between his 4 generals. One took Egypt, one took the Promised Land, one took the East, and the other one took Greece. All of the Gentiles that were in the land, and even many of the Israelites, submitted to this decree. What decree is that? Abandon your customs. Isn't that what they did to us when they brought us here to America? They made us abandon our customs. They made us change our names. They did not allow us to read the book. They adopted the official pagan religion, just like we did here in America. Offered sacrifices to idols. We offered our sacrifices of praise to an image of wood and stone, and no longer observed the Sabbath. Well, we thought we were, right? We said we were going to observe the Sabbath on Sunday because that's the day that the Messiah died. We said we're going to worship on Saturday because that's the 7th day of the week on the Gregorian calendar. Verse 44. The king also sent messengers with a decree to Jerusalem and all the towns of Judea, ordering the people to follow customs that were foreign to the country. That's what you're doing right here in America. All of their customs are foreign to you. You celebrate Christmas and Easter and don't even understand what they are. Verse 45. He ordered them not to offer burnt offerings, grain offerings, or wine offerings in the temple, and commanded them to treat Sabbaths and festivals as ordinary work days. That's why our people don't keep the Sabbath even to this day, because we forgot. They took it away from us. What did they take away? Our power. We are weak because we have abandoned the ways of Yahuwah. Verse 46. And they were even ordered to defile, make unclean the temple and the holy things in it. That was an order, a decree. From who, brothers and sisters? From the Greeks. The same people that gave you your New Testament? Verse 47. They were commanded to build pagan altars, temples, and shrines, and to sacrifice pigs and other unclean animals there. Who did this? The Europeans, brothers and sisters. They sacrificed pigs to Zeus. All of us were in the church. All of us celebrated Easter. All of us made this sacrifice of the pig. Do you see where this sacrifice of pig or the ham, the Easter ham, comes from? What a taunt. They're taunting us. On Easter, you have the Easter ham. But if you celebrate Passover, you have the Passover lamb. Do you see the imitation of what the devil does? Verse 48. They were forbidden to circumcise their sons and were required to make themselves ritually unclean in every way. What a wicked people. They didn't like the fact that your penis was chiseled and clean. They wanted you to be unclean like them. Verse 49. Here it is. So that they would forget the law which Yahuwah had given through Moses and would disobey all his commandments. Didn't they do that here in America? That's why they didn't want you to read the book. They had to make you forget so that they could pour into you a new religion, a new God. They know that you are a spiritual people. It would be easy for them to transfer their God to our book and feed it to us as the truth. Why? How? Because we forgot. Verse 50. Look at the penalty for disobeying the king's decree was death. They did it then. If you come down to Constantine and Constantinus the Great in 300 AD, you find the same behavior. They told the sages, the rabbis, and the priests that were still there in the promised land, they weren't us. These were Edomites. They were something else. They told them you could not observe the moon phases to bring in your Sabbaths and your feast days. Remember, they told you couldn't obey the Sabbath. They did this again. What was the penalty from Constantinus the Great to those Jews that were in the land? If you observe the moon phases, the penalty is death. So what did they do? They fixed the Sabbath to what? Saturday. And we are still following it today. Why? Because we forgot the law of Yahuwah, which he had given through Moses, and we would disobey all its commands. Why would they do this? Because when you return to Yahuwah, their God told them that their time is finished. Verse 51. The king not only issued the same decree throughout his whole empire, but he also appointed officials to supervise the people and commanded each town in Judea to offer pagan sacrifices. He brought in the religious police. Verse 52. Many of the Israelites were ready to forsake the law and to obey these officials. They were afraid of the sword. They defiled the land with their evil. Do you see it? Do you see who the devil is, brothers and sisters? No other nation that came in and conquered the Israelites did this. And their conduct forced all true Israelites to hide wherever they could. Those are our brothers who hid. Mattathias, Yahudas, Maccabees. Verse 54. Here's your date. He said from a time and times and a half. You need to have a starting point to understand the prophecy, correct? Here is your date. When you're reading the book of Maccabees, you're going to start from chapter 1. You'll see this date. And as you go through, you'll see it's going to be 3.5 years plus some time before they started sacrificing again on the altar in the temple, Solomon's temple, the true temple that Yahuwah ordained to be set up. Verse 54. On the 15th day of the month of Kislev in the year 145. Here's the culprit. King Antiochus set up. Remember? He says, from the time that the abomination which maketh desolate is set up. Here is the date. The 15th day of the month of Kislev in the year of 145. The awful horror on the altar of the temple and pagan altars were built in towns throughout Judea. What awful horror could this be? A pig. This is their staple diet. They taught it to us. Do you know that our system, our body, cannot process this animal? They can. You can't. This animal and any unclean thing will kill you. But for them, this is their everyday diet. Verse 55. Pagan sacrifices were offered in front of houses and in the streets. We have these pagan high places built everywhere. I used to live in New York. We have a church on every block in the black community. These pagan places of worship and sacrifice, because they're still sacrificing there. They're giving a sacrifice of praise to ZEUS. Nothing has changed. The same people who were ruling then are ruling now. Verse 56. Look. Any books of the law which were found were torn up and burned. Why would they do that? Because your power is in these books of the law. It is in the law itself. And the New Testament says, we had a form of godliness, but we denied the power thereof. He's talking about the law. That is our power. They burned the books. We were very literate. Verse 57, and anyone who was caught with a copy of the sacred books or who obeyed the law was put to death by order of the king. Okay. Now let's see why I called them the wicked people. Because the Bible calls them that. Verse 58. Month after month, these wicked people used their power against the Israelites. Did they use it against the world? They use it against us. Forget everyone else in the kingdom. Verse 58 is pointing towards one group of people, because this is the only group of people out of their whole empire who had laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments. These were the only people who had a book of the law. We are the ones who had a temple where we sacrificed the grain offering, the wine offering. We also kept the Sabbath days, the feast days. They took it all away from us. Who did it? These wicked people. Have we identified the demons and the devils of the Bible? ZEUS. Hey, hold it 1 second. Where is this image located? In the Vatican Museum? I thought that these were Christians. Isn't the church Christians also? I thought, and remember, I just thought, that they were the people of the book. They fed us this Christianity. They called themselves Catholic, the mother of all churches. Catholic means Universal Church of Jesus Christ. If you worship Jesus Christ, Christos Jesus, you are Catholic. If you take communion, you are Catholic. If you worship on Sunday, you are Catholic. You celebrate Easter, you're Catholic. Christmas, you're Catholic. You cannot get away from it. If you are a Christian, this is your God, ZEUS. Who is his son? Jesus. Why is it still in the Vatican when the Bible strictly prohibits the making or displaying of images? It's time for us to wake up. They've been here all the time. They've carried out their witchcraft in front of us. They made us believe that they were righteous. We should have known they wasn't righteous with all this pig that they were consuming, but they had us joining in with their pig fests. All nations under the sun hate the Israelites. Everyone has come against us. Everyone. But the book points out one specific people for an evil that has never been seen before in history. You cannot dismiss that. Look at their history. 2,300 years they've been ruling the world. What do we have? Death and destruction. Who's poisoning the water? Who's poisoning the water? Who's created monster crops, genetically modified plants, fruits, vegetables? Who are genetically modifying the beasts that we are partaking in. That's right, your burger, your chicken is genetically modified. Who is doing that? Who is destroying the air? And we are their participants with these fossil fuels. I mean, it would be easy to convert to this electric energy that's in the atmosphere. But there's no money involved in free energy. Who's killing the animals? Have we identified the demons and the devils that are in the Bible? Yes, there are other nations that are wicked. But Michael the archangel did not stand up until these people came into the land. We're finished with this series, but this series is going to start another series. Look for it, brothers and sisters. We're going to identify the origins of these people. Shalom.